boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. It's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things underneath the way common sense lens. And look, I enjoyed the Superman movie, okay? Like, I am a DC fanboy. I have talked about this. You guys can go watch me and Mrs. Common Nerd's review of it. She even liked the movie more than I do. I gave it an 8 out of 10, but I know there was a lot of general criticisms out there. There was some mixed perceptions out there about what the movie was and that kind of things and some of the kind of interjected politics that might be in it or weren't in it. And honestly, after watching the movie, there was none of that whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. And that was just more of a headline that kind of went viral and ended up tainting a lot of people's minds about this movie out there. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, 2 + 2 still equals 4. And even though I love this movie, even though I really enjoyed it and I wanted to see the new DC universe succeed out there, it just doesn't matter. Superman lost money at the box office. We know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. We kind of expected that when we were watching the numbers early on, especially with how bad the international was out there. And whether or not you love James Gunn, hate James Gunn or not, at the end of the day, 2 + 2 still equals 4. And where else has now our dear sweet Superman, our Man of Steel, our wonderful, fabulous David Cornsweat? Well, it turns out, boys and girls, Superman has now flopped twice. And another DC movie I get a lot of crap about enjoying, Black Adam, which obviously was another miserable failure at the box office. And I actually, if I remember correctly, did worse than Superman internationally for the entire global box office out there. Boys and girls, Black Adam did better numbers on HBO Max's streaming service than the new Superman movie. And wow, that is sad. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, we have to call balls and strikes fairly. And it would be remiss of me. I would end up acting like just like everybody else if I did not come out there and talk about this fact. And honestly, you guys can go back and watch my videos covering all of the Superman stuff out there. I said early on that I was worried this movie was not going to end up making a profit. And it turns out, yes, we were right once again, because it's not hard to look at those opening numbers and see where it's going to go from there. And that's exactly what we ended up getting with Superman. And now we're seeing even more of that out there on streaming. So despite all of the media headlines, despite all of the James Gunn bro simps out there, Superman has unfortunately, boys and girls, flopped for a second time. So we're going to check out this article from CosmicBook.news, getting all of the juicy details and show you the actual numbers to show you that this thing is not doing very well at all. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,300. We're sailing our way towards 24 on our journey to 100,000, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below later. What do you think about this? Did you watch Superman on HBO Max? I know I haven't yet, even though I have an HBO Max subscription. I just honestly haven't been able to find the time with all the craziness going on in my life to go back there and watch it again. Or are you one of the guys out there that actually did enjoy it and go back and see it or a second viewing? Are you sad to see and hear that the numbers are doing that bad out there? Or are you just going to call me a jerk because you're one of those James Gunn Snyder bros? Well, version of Snyder Bros out there. Let us know about that in the comment section down below, because as always, all opinions are welcome in the comment section. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, check out the description. All right, from our dear sweet Matt McGloin over there at CosmicBook.news. James Gunn's Superman flops on HBO Max, trails Black Adam and Marvel. Yes, boys and girls, despite Superman being the #1 superhero movie at the box office, completely and totally beating everything Marvel put out, didn't matter, boys and girls. Nielsen's data confirms what many suspected, that James Gunn's Superman didn't fly high on HBO Max. The film generated 513 million minutes of viewing over its first 3 days on the platform, ranking #4 on the movie's charts and failing to break into Nielsen's overall top 10. #4, not bad, right? In your own little category, not bad. But as we always like to do, we like to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, right? If you're not doing better than what was essentially the first of the last movies inside of what was the DCU universe out there, back when we were all still hopeful and optimistic, back when, remember, they told us Henry Cavill actually did show up in the movie, and he did at the end, right? But we knew all of that. Even that movie Even that movie has done better than this. And this is supposed to be the bright, fresh new start. But hey, if you watch Creature Commandos out there on HBO, you probably might have been not have been all that excited about Superman either. So is number 4 okay in your Nielsen charts for strictly originals? Sure. But you failed to even chart into the top 10 Nielsen overall ratings, right? You get beat by K-pop Demon Hunters, which has been out for how long now? Ice Road Vengeance, Elio, which was a commercial failure. It was one of the largest flops Disney has seen since the Marvels, boys and girls. And there it is, Superman with 513 million minutes watched. That's not great, boys and girls. The Wrong Paris, Lilo and Stitch, 28 years later. Like, it got beat by Ice Road Vengeance. I've never even heard about this movie, and I literally do this for a living. Have you heard of Ice Road Vengeance? Were you jumping on Disney to watch Elio? I don't think so. And all of that beat Superman. I'm not happy about this. It's just the truth, boys and girls. In comparison, Marvel's Captain America Brave New World started with 750 million minutes over 4 days. Remember Captain Black America? Yeah, that disastrous dumpster fire? Almost 250 million minutes more. Thunderbolts, 702 million minutes in 5, both of which made the Nielsen's overall and movie charts. That's why it really matters. Marvel beat Superman on streaming. On daily average, Superman still trails Marvel's Captain America Brave New World, pulling in 171 million minutes per day compared to 187 million. And since Superman debuted on a Friday, its weekend surge was likely followed by a sharper drop during the weekdays, meaning the average almost certainly declined after Nielsen's 3-day window, bringing it down closer to Thunderbolts, because obviously that makes sense. If it's a weekend time, everybody and their mother is going to want to come out and do that kind of thing, right? That's literally where we're at with this. That is bad, because it's absolutely true. The numbers are only going to get worse after the weekend's over. Perhaps the biggest story, and adding to the continued embarrassment for Gunn's new DCU, Superman performed worse than Black Adam, the film that was branded a flop when Gunn took over the DC studios. And that was honestly the movie that decided which version of the DC universe they were going to go with. They were already leaning towards James Gunn because Warner Brothers was broke. But if Black Adam would have made $900 million at the box office, we would have had our Henry Cavill back. We would have had all of that going forward. But the numbers did not line up. And I liked the Black Adam movie. Is it a very good Black Adam movie? No. Is it a halfway decent JSA movie? Yes. So I really enjoyed it out there. It's a good popcorn flick. I gave it like a 6 out of 10. I would watch it again, right? But at the end of the day, that's bad, because that's literally the movie that decided to end the old version of the DCU, boys and girls. Nielsen reported Black Adam at just 632 million minutes in its first 3 days on HBO Max, a stronger opening than Superman despite the negative press surrounding Dwayne Johnson's movie. When Gunn was also named as co-head of DC Studios in late 2022, it came right as Black Adam's theatrical run struggled. Yet on streaming, Black Adam managed a healthier debut than Gunn's own rebooted Superman and continued with big success on Netflix. And obviously, that's not much of a gauge for actual success for things. I mean, Madam Web did huge numbers on Netflix, boys and girls, because everybody just wanted to see how bad that disastrous dumpster fire actually was. But it's one of them situations where that's not a good sign, boys and girls. It's simply not out there in any way, shape, or form. And that was the thing. That right there. The fact that they knew as the box office was struggling, because Zaslav knew, right? They're not dumber than us, right? They know these numbers way better than we do. They have way better access to these raw numbers than any of us ever will, right? And at the end of the day, they knew that Black Adam was on its way to lose money from the very first weekend. It's the same way we can gauge it, and they have better numbers than we do. So they knew even better than we did that thing was going to flop, which is why they made the official announcement about the reboot out there. What does that mean for the future of James Gunn's DCU? Well, if the rumors are to be believed, whenever the new bosses come in, James Gunn is out the door. We'll see what happens. And the worst part is the casting was so good for Superman. I hate to see all of those guys lose their jobs and their futures as characters in the DC, all because James Gunn and his nonsense garbage couldn't be put aside to just give us good quality DC stories. The weak streaming turnout adds to Gunn's recent streak of failures. Peacemaker lost nearly 40% of its audience in season 2. Creature Commandos didn't chart at Nielsen at all, and as a guy who watched and reviewed Creature Commandos on a weekly basis, there was only one good episode in that entire series despite how good the animation and the music was. That story was garbage. The editing and the bouncing around was ridiculous. It was stupid. It was just all around a bad show. It was very obvious, like James Gunn confirmed, he wrote it in just 6 weeks. Trust me, that was obvious. Peacemaker has since been canceled and will not receive a third season. Now Superman follows with lower engagement than Black Adam, a movie Gunn's camp once mocked as a flop. Now who's laughing? Dwayne Johnson even publicly said his Black Adam was a financial success, yet recent reports suggest Gunn's Superman was a financial flop. Come on, we know that's just Dwayne Johnson spinning things. Let's be real about this. The data for Gunn's Superman seemingly shows audience interest peaked early and declined fast. Likely not the response Warner Bros. Discovery had hoped from its supposed DCU cornerstone. While theatrical numbers already disappointed, $615 million at the box office, and it barely did better than Johnson's Black Adam internationally, which didn't come with a China release. A lot of good that did them. And now streaming performances are falling short. Superman looks less like a reboot and more like another warning sign that Gunn's new era of DC might already be losing its power. Gunn's Superman also isn't getting a sequel, but instead it's a Man of Tomorrow, which sounds more like it's more about Lex, a character Gunn has said more relatable than Superman. And insiders have told us that Gunn is out at the sale of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers Films, led by Mike DeLuca, also scheduled the Minecraft sequel just 2 weeks after Gunn's Superman follow-up, Man of Tomorrow, hits theaters in summer of 2027. Why does that matter? Because that tells us what Warner Brothers thinks about the state of the DCU. That the next Superman entry, the next major entry into the DCU after the Supergirl movie comes out, they don't believe it'll have legs. They don't believe it'll hold. Because they're putting their Minecraft sequel, which literally we already know made over $1 billion globally, 2 weeks afterwards. Which means they don't expect Superman to have any kind of legs whatsoever. And that right there should worry everyone who actually does enjoy James Gunn's new little rebooted DCU. Because just like we've talked about before, just like we've said a million times, just like history has proven us true and right about this over and over and over again, 2 + 2 still equals 4. And eventually you do run out of other people's money. We already know Warner Brothers is broke. Superman didn't make a profit. Peacemaker flopped. Creature Commandos failed. And now Superman has gone down the exact same path when it comes to their streaming services. I enjoyed the movie. I love David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan in their roles. I think they're perfect. I think the Lex Luthor casting is spot on, right? I don't want this to be the case of things. But at the end of the day, we have to call balls and strikes fairly, or we are no better than the legacy media and the legacy commentators that we are trying to replace. And at the end of the day, 2 + 2 still equals 4. The numbers don't vibe, and according to the Nielsen ratings, Superman has now flopped for a second time. And guess what, James Gunn? It's all your fault because you made these decisions. You allowed this kind of marketing to go around it, and you've reinforced that same ideology with all of the television shows that you produced. You danced with the devil in the pale moonlight. You believed all of his lies, and there's a very good possibility that it could burn your entire DCU down to the ground. Because at the end of the day, fans decide. And fans have decided that Superman is nothing more than a flop on HBO Max. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.